A political science professor says Donald Trump's career follows the exact same pattern as Japan's most famous monster. A political science paper has emerged comparing the political career of U.S. President Donald Trump to the narrative of Japan's iconic monster, Godzilla. While media outlets have occasionally likened Trump to Godzilla, this marks the first academic paper to formally analyze the metaphor. The study was written by Robert Boatwright, a political science professor at Clark University in the United States, and published in the political science journal The Forum on July 29. The paper is titled Metaphor and Allegory in the Relationship Between Donald Trump and Godzilla, and it sets out to examine how the story of classic Godzilla films maps onto Trump's political rise and career. The paper was published just days ago, making it one of the freshest academic takes on Trump's political phenomenon. The study highlights three key parallels between Trump and Godzilla. First, both are summoned by human errors. In the original 1954 Godzilla film, the monster awakens due to human nuclear testing, a direct consequence of humanity's own technological arrogance. Boatwright views Trump similarly, as a product of the accumulation of errors from free trade and globalization that built up over decades. Second, both Godzilla and Trump wreak havoc indiscriminately. Godzilla does not attack cities with a calculated plan, and Boatwright argues Trump's political impact follows a similar pattern of broad, sweeping disruption that affects everyone regardless of who is in charge. Third, both return even after being seemingly defeated. This is the third and perhaps most provocative claim in the paper. The paper argues that the story of Godzilla films produced between 1954 and 1975 mirrors Trump's political timeline, specifically his 2016 election victory, his first term, and his subsequent return. The original 1954 film established Godzilla as a creature born from human technology and arrogance, a monster created by humanity's own actions. This foundational myth, Boatwright suggests, maps directly onto the argument that Trump was not an anomaly, but an inevitable consequence of decades of policy decisions and economic shifts. The paper draws parallels between the specific Godzilla films of that era and key moments in Trump's political career, suggesting a structural similarity between the two narratives. One of the study's central points is that neither Trump nor Godzilla ever fully disappears. Godzilla, though seemingly defeated at the end of each film, falls into the sea or is trapped in ice, but always returns. Boatwright emphasizes that defeating Godzilla once does not resolve the underlying problem. He writes that as long as the conditions that created Godzilla exist, the monster will keep coming back. The same logic, the paper argues, applies to Trump, suggesting that his political resilience is not a personal quality, but a structural inevitability. As long as the economic and political conditions that produced him persist, he will keep returning, no matter how many times he is seemingly defeated. But the comparison is not without complications. As one commenter on the original Reddit post pointed out, Godzilla has been known to fight off worse monsters, and the paper may be missing a significant portion of the underlying connotations, especially in the later 60s and 70s era, where Godzilla is often on humanity's side. In films like Godzilla vs. the Three-Headed Monster, there is literally a conversation between Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan, where Godzilla is convinced by Mothra to help save the Earth. He is not just mindlessly trashing stuff. Another commenter noted that Godzilla was occasionally heroic, and some fans pointed out that Godzilla is a dynamic character, at times a force of nature, at times a hero of Earth, a champion against pollution and climate disaster, and only once straight-up evil. The community reaction to the paper has been mixed. Some commenters questioned the seriousness of the work, with one writing that this is mostly published for humor, and another asking if this is what political science is. A lifelong Godzilla fan described feeling deeply insulted, arguing that the paper reduces Godzilla to a one-dimensional monster when he is actually a complex and dynamic character. One commenter noted that Godzilla was occasionally heroic, while a fan pointed out that he is a champion against pollution and climate disaster. The debate highlights a tension between the academic use of pop culture as an analytical framework and the fans who see their cultural icons as more nuanced than the metaphor allows. At its core, Boatwright's paper uses Godzilla not as a literal comparison, but as a metaphor for understanding Trump's political phenomenon. The paper suggests that Trump, like Godzilla, is a force that cannot be defeated by simply removing him from power, because he was created by deeper structural conditions. As long as the economic, political, and social conditions that produced him persist, he will keep returning. Whether you find this analysis clever or reductive, it offers a genuinely unusual lens on American politics, using Japan's most iconic monster to help us understand one of the most consequential political figures of our time. And it raises important questions about how we think about political resilience and inevitability. Thanks for watching Orbit Reports. If you found this breakdown useful, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments whether you think the Godzilla metaphor actually holds up, or if it's just academic fun and games.